It's time, another Cougar Coaches Show here on Mediacom Channel 22, also on the web, ColumbiaCougars.com. My name is Cosmo. With me is the head coach of Columbia College cross country and track and field. The new program added, almost a year since the big announcement, October
Almost,
of 14, I guess.
Yeah, 9 or 10 months.
And Tim Cornell, the head coach, congratulations on the fast start, especially for your men's program. As I did last week with Coach Washington, we'll start with some of your new players and our new athletes. Tyler Lawson, freshman from the St. Louis area, Webster Groves. Yeah. What a bang to start his freshman campaign. AMC Runner of the Week, wins a meet, leading this number 18 ranked men's cross country team. Talk about what a special athlete Tyler is.
Off to a fast start, not to be cliched.
More running puns to come, you watch.
Yes, we knew that Tyler was good when he came in. He was part of a state championship 4x8 team. He was 3 times All-State at the track and field championships, and then All-State in cross country this past year. So he had the accolades coming in, but you never know exactly what type of athlete that you have until you get him on campus and you start working out. And really, you don't know until you race. And he really showed that he's a racer, and he knows where the finish line's at and knows how to win. It's not easy to do, and he's not going to win every race, but it was a really good start for him.
Well, and the fact that his teammates, 6 in total, finished 1 through 5 and then 7, that's some good company to look back in your rearview mirror and see blue and gray behind you. That kind of helps as well.
Yeah. The men perfect scored 1 through 5. We count 5 runners, and if you're first, you score 1 point. So 15 is the lowest score that you can possibly score, and they had that perfect score. I've been running cross country for a long time. I've never been a part of a perfect score before.
So. That was my next question, was have you ever witnessed anything like that, much less being the head coach of the team that pulled it off?
I've seen it before. I've never been a part of it. And the competition wasn't great on Friday, but there was competition. And anytime there's competition, we're going to try and do our best. And so for those guys to start the season that way was really special.
Besides Tyler, talk about some of the other new faces that you've got running for you here for the Cougars.
Sure. So the other freshman that raced on the men's side was Alex Slater. And Alex is from Grain Valley. He's a little bit behind where Tyler is right now just from a runner development standpoint. He hasn't run as much, so his running years are a little bit behind, but he's catching up really fast. The coaching staff was really impressed with the way that he raced the 6K, which is further than he ran in high school. It was very controlled. He moved up throughout the race. All of the good things that you want to see. So a really good start for Alex too, even though he was a little bit behind where those other guys were. That's exactly what we wanted to see. And then on the women's side, Maddie May was our newcomer who raced, and I think she finished 6th overall, so a really good start for her as well after transferring over from Central Missouri.
And the returning crew that are welcoming the new guys. After now, what is this, the 4th year of cross country?
This is our 4th year, and I felt like a broken record every year before saying, oh yeah, we're really young, we're really young, we're really young. Well, we're not young anymore, we're old. And we have a senior class, and we have a junior class, and we have a sophomore class to show that new group how we like to operate. And I think it's really helped. You can see a change in the maturity level each year, and I like where we're at, especially on the men's side right now. Our women are still coming together, but on the men's side, Michael McCulloch, Devin Sander are both seniors, Tommy Skoski and Brennan Cape are juniors, and Seth Shank on the cross-country side is that sophomore who's filling.
Well, those guys almost become, and you see it on the other sports here, but you've got more athletes, if you will. You almost see them almost kind of become a de facto assistant coach because they're leading by example as teammates, and they know your system and the program, and they can kind of help lead the newcomers along too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it's very important in cross country because they're out on the roads. Most of their training occurs outside of the site of the coaching staff, and so we can talk about how things went, but we don't really know. We can tell from various factors of how they're feeling, but we really rely on those older guys, those character guys, to make sure that we're doing the right things when we're out on the roads and working out.
What is, as far as the early season, with the one meet and then another one coming up as you head to Freed Hardman for one of the coolest named meets, I think. Was it Freed Speed or something? They're getting more creative. I don't know what you come up with. I don't know what you come up with the next one for Columbia College involving scooter and speed or something. I don't know, but that's a whole nother conversation later. But as far as this early season is concerned, how does that line up as far as scheduling? Do you seek meets that are going to challenge your guys early so you can kind of get a barometer of where things are at later, or how does that all work?
I didn't seek those meets early this year. We have in the past, but I felt like we were going to be good on both sides, and that senior leadership meant that we didn't have to go find the competition early because those guys know what a national meet looks like, they know what a conference meet looks like, and they know the expectations to succeed at both. And so we didn't need to build those things in the first 3 weeks. Now, we are going to challenge ourselves in the final 6 weeks, but cross country can be such a long, grueling season. I wanted them to focus on the training early to make sure that physically we were where we needed to be before we put ourselves out there, and to make sure that we race our best at the national meet.
When it comes to standings, it's a little different than soccer or Coach Washington with volleyball, where you know teams are playing each other in conference season, so on and so forth. How does it line up as far as in the AMC with cross country and standings? Is it cumulative, or does it just really come down to a final meet or a series of meets?
It'll all come down to the conference meet in terms of qualifying to the national meet. So if we win the conference on both sides, then we get the national bid, similar to the other sports. The ratings, the final ratings for the conference, will all be determined off of that AMC championship meet. Now, as we go throughout the season, it can become a little more subjective. You would think cross country, track and field, it should all be based off time. Well, that's true, but the courses for cross country vary quite a bit. You have some courses that are very flat, others that are very, very hilly, the length of the grass, the heat can all play into how fast that you race. So it'll be a little subjective leading up to that conference meet, but then we do get to race everybody at the same time, which is a unique atmosphere for a sport, one that not every other team gets to see. You know, in soccer and volleyball in the fall, you might have matchup differences. Well, everybody's running at the same time for cross country, so that makes it a unique championship environment.
The preseason rankings for your men's team, and they certainly lived up to the top 20 billing of the number 18 and the women right there on the outside at receiving vote level. Yeah. Had to be pleasing to see that, obviously. Then you have to balance out expectations where you set the goals for the team. What are those top three, if there is a marker board in the cross country locker room? I don't know if there, as far as what you guys line up as a coaching staff.
We need a locker room.
Okay, all right.
So most of what we do has been out on the field. The men are rated 18th right now, which is a solid rating for where they finished at 19th last year. We brought almost everybody back from last year. The core of that group is back. So we expected that, but it's also something that we don't want to focus on. In terms of what we need to do, we need to focus on the progress that we make every single day at practice and focus on what we can control. And the rating is completely outside of our control. So the minute that we start focusing on the rating, and that's the most important thing, or that's the reason that we're running, we're a little bit lost as a team. And the men's team especially has done a really good job of keeping that in focus. They're making sure that they take care of their business every single day, and what happens will happen.
What is and you mentioned already, like the training is, I mean, cross country is running. You get out and run. And it's kind of hard to necessarily practice the strategy that comes into a race, but how does a typical practice work? I think everybody knows what a soccer practice might look like, but take us, and somebody watching the show for the first time and not knowing really that much about cross country, what does a cross country practice entail?
Sure. And so we like to break the cross country practice down into a week at a time. And so inside of a week, we'll have several days where we just run relatively easy, and we call those recovery days. We'll also have a longer run day. The men will get into the 14 to 18 mile range. The ladies are in the 10 to 12 mile range right now.
I don't drive that much in a day. Because that's your practice.
Yeah, so that's Saturday morning right now is our long run. And then we'll have several days in the week that are more intense, where we get down to race pace or just slightly above race pace to simulate what we're doing in a race, where they'll take a break or they'll do some threshold running where they're going to make themselves tired and run for a long period of time at a pace just slightly above what they're going to race at.
And obviously on a week where there's a meet involved, you probably back that off a couple of days in advance of a big run or a big race.
Absolutely. The race will replace one of those workouts to make sure that we're ready. The racing is always the most important thing. You can simulate all that you want, but things really do change once you start racing, and so that's the primary focus.
What in this season that's only probably not even a full month old, what's the biggest surprise so far for you for both teams that have been a pleasant surprise?
I think on the women's side, we haven't talked enough about them yet. but I think the women have done a really good job of coming together. Maddie May has been a surprise for us, quite literally. She transferred over just a couple weeks before classes started, but her positive personality has really rubbed off on some of the other girls. So she makes it a joy to come to practice every single day. And then on the men's side, I think Seth Schenk is going to be a surprise for everybody. Michael and Tommy and Brennan have been around and racing at a high level all of last year. Seth really got there at the end of last year and has made another jump over the summer. So to watch him come into his own as a young man from a training standpoint has been fun. He showed a little bit of it in the race this past weekend, and I think he's going to continue to improve. So keep an eye on him.
After the freed speed, what is the next check mark on the calendar for the teams?
Well, we've got a month in between competitions, which is really rare for us as a cross-country team and exceptionally rare for any sports team.
Sure.
But that time will be used for training and to make sure that we can control the training appropriately leading into that last 6 weeks. And the last 6 weeks is what we're really focused on for the cross-country team, because we do think that both teams have potential at the national meet, and we want to make sure that they race their best on the national meet line. The next true race after freed speed is the Royal XC Open, and that's out in Charlotte, North Carolina, and it'll occur on our national meet course. So the men and women will have a preview of that course before they would race at the national championships.
And that's very important. I mean, it's similar to golf in a way, where,
Sure.
where so much of the sport becomes the mental side, the head game, not just with what's going on with the feet and with the body running.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to use a golf analogy, the placement of a tee shot or the placement of where to miss is very important. In cross country, you have to know where to move, so where you want to pass people, where's the right spot to start picking it up or to change your pace. Those are all very important things, and they can save 10, 15, 20, even 30 seconds if you do them correctly. And on a national meet line, 10 seconds at the right spot will probably save you 20 places, so 20 team points. And if we can do that consistently through 5 guys, you're looking at moving up 5 or 6 places.
Great, a great start for the cross-country squads for Coach Tim Cornell at Columbia College, and something new. We'll come back when we come back from the break. We'll talk about the building of the now track and field program. 4 years ago, you started with cross country, and now the new addition with track and field. Got a couple coaches to help you now. That's got to feel good. We'll talk about them and what the future is for those, the building of the track and field program. When we come back on the Cougar Coaches Show here on MediaCom Channel 22.
All right, guys, let's go, let's go, let's go.
MediaCom Home Controller is the simplest way to control and monitor your home from anywhere.
Honey, did I shut the front door? Mm-hmm. Lights are off.
Yep,
And the thermostat?
it's all set.
This is gonna be a great vacation.
The tickets.
Get MediaCom Home Controller and enjoy greater peace of mind for as little as $34.99 a month. Plus, get a $149 credit towards equipment fees when you call today.
Cougar Coaches Show here on MediaCom Channel 22 and ColumbiaCougars.com. Coach Tim Cornell as the head coach of cross country as we shift gears to the track and field program, which was announced again a year or so ago. Where are we now with that? I know you've added Tracy as one of your assistants. Talk about what he brings to the building of this program.
Well, Tracy is a really good coach, and he came from Hannibal LaGrange, so an in-conference opponent. And I really got to know Tracy and was very impressed with his work at Hannibal over the last 3 years as I saw him at different cross-country meets and different track and field meets. And so when we started the program, he was really one of the people that we targeted as a potential assistant coach. So obviously a step down in title for him, having been the head at Hannibal, but he really feels like it's a step up in terms of what he's trying to accomplish now from a track and field standpoint.
Now, when you have that, is there because there's so many events, and depending on the number of athletes you get and as the program grows, that will increase. It's not like Coach John Klein's the soccer coach. Right. Similar, I guess, to football with offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Will he specialize in a couple of events, or how will that work on a meet day?
Yeah, one of the great things about Tracy is because he was a head coach, he knows all of the events well enough to coach them. And so when we brought him in, he was moldable and really wanted to fit in where we could use him. So he's going to do sprints, hurdles, and jumps, and Derek Peterson is going to help him with the sprints, hurdles portion of that. So Tracy will oversee that entire area.
Now, as far as the recruiting, now you got to get student athletes to fill all the different elements of your track and field program. Do you sit there and target certain events that you can maybe score more points? I don't know how that works as far as, do we go after a discus thrower? Do we go a high jump? Do we go pole vaulter? How does that all work out?
You know, I think you target talent first and foremost. Every event's worth 10 points, so there are some events that are more easily combined. A sprinter can do more events than a distance runner can, but really you want to find the most talented kid and worry about the event secondary. We've got great coaches in all of the disciplines, and so we're able to coach them well no matter what they're doing. And so we're just looking for talent at this point.
And I mean, what is that magic number? Like when you guys are done and said and at your goal number, how many student athletes are we talking about for track and field alone?
You know, I think 60 student athletes can make a really great track and field team, but 80 is probably the right number for us from a depth standpoint. And so I think that's the final number that we'll be shooting for, to make sure that not only do we have the quality at the top, but we have those character kids and the depth to replace an athlete if they go down because of injury.
And again, some of the cross-country runners also cross over to some degree in running, or no?
They're all going to cross
Yeah.
over. Cross country and track and field have always been a tandem, and it's part of the reason that we allowed those cross-country kids to run track and field, because those athletes, especially the quality ones, are looking for the three-sport interaction. So they want cross, they want indoor, they want outdoor. And so we needed to offer all of those. And we've done well. Our women finished 14th on the backs of two young ladies at the indoor championship last year, and so we just look forward to building on the success that we've had with more athletes and sprinters, hurdlers, jumpers, throwers, vaulters, throwers. So
I referenced bad running and track and field puns earlier, but what's the next hurdle to clear, if you will, on the building of the program?
The next hurdle is just getting the kids here. We've got about 25, and we have some real quality that you're going to see in the spring, but we don't have the depth yet, and so that's the next hurdle to get over. We have to get more quality student athletes here, and that's all going to happen over the next year.
And is it similar to the other sports where you're looking at some JUCO transfers, maybe obviously your high school talent, and that same kind of mix?
Yeah, I think when you're trying to get to 80, you're looking anywhere and everywhere. So under every rock that you can possibly find.
And again, like all recruiting, as we talk about with every coach on the show, it's about building that network and continuing to branch out and utilize every relationship possible to find that next Columbia College Cougar athlete.
Absolutely. And
About facility-wise, obviously the track and field can become a little bit spread out as far as practice and training-wise. Still looking at possibly using some of Hickman's facilities, or what's the plan on that?
yeah, we've had a great partnership with Hickman High School over the first 4 years of the program, and we look to continue that and branch out a little bit. So J.D. Kaufman and Stuart Johnson, the head track and field coach, have been very, very helpful in that process, and we've come to agreement to be able to use that fine track and field facility that continues to get better and better. So it's going to be a great place for our kids to train, and then obviously the new field is going to be a great place for them too. We won't be able to do everything out there because it's not a full track and field complex, but there are a number of quality exercises that we can do all on that field.
Probably no javelin throw. I'm guessing
No
Coach
real.
would probably allow that.
No real javelin. So.
No real javelin.
No real javelin.
Synthetic javelin?
They make plastic javelins that are perfectly fine for the turf field. But no, I don't think Mr. Curtis would be very happy with us if we stuck a javelin in his new field.
You really have to watch his schedule. You don't want to
Yes.
mix up intramurals with
I
javelin throw.
I like my job, so yeah, no javelin.
And that is something that I get a lot of questions about, that new field. That is literally something that is used by, that's one of the big reasons the thing was put in there too, not just for the soccer, but heck, Coach Wendy Spread had her softball camp right here on campus on that field.
It's a game
or a lot of
changer.
it.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, that field changes who we are as an athletic department. It changes what we can do with our student athletes. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place for everybody. Obviously a great place to watch a soccer game, as we've seen in the fall, but a great place to train for our student athletes, and maybe even more importantly, a great place for our students in general to have some communal space.
Absolutely. Well, good luck continuing to build the track and field program, and then now you're into the swing of things on on cross country, and certainly a great start for the men, and the women are right behind them. All right, Coach Tim Cornell of the Columbia Cross Country and Track and Field programs here on the Coaches Show on Mediacom Channel 22. Thanks for watching.